And, whoa, look at Magoo. Magoo streaks into the...
Thorpe's got basketballs. They lock handlebars as they go through, but Thorpe's done.
Here comes Bradshaw to the outside of Bale. He takes over the number 2 position, and Bradshaw is not done. First 250 moto of the day. There it goes, and we are underway with the race action. Jean-Michel Bale, you had a quick shot of him. There he is around the center of the track. Rider number 8, but it's Damon Bradshaw. Bradshaw, from out of the middle of that pack, stole the whole shot. He came around that first corner like a freight train. Rider number 11 out of Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, he's starting to string out on this rough, rolling Mount Morris racetrack. Bradshaw hitting the doubles. He's putting every wheel in place. Rounding the corner right up next to the spectator. I guess they like to get that dirt thrown in their face, and they're getting just that as they crowd that fence line. Bale, meanwhile, has moved to 3rd ahead of Jones, and Stanton has taken over the number 2 position. DC winner here at High Point. He understands this racetrack very well. He rode throughout his amateur career several times here and always fared extremely well. So look for Bradshaw to turn in a good, strong ride here today. Here comes Stanton to challenge around the outside of the track. Now Stanton will fall back in line. He showed the wheel to Bradshaw. He just said, I want you to know I'm here, son. I'm not going anywhere. If you don't stay on the gas, well, move over. Let me take a crack at it. And Stanton is crowding Bradshaw all over this track. He goes to the inside. Can he make the pass? No, they come out of there side by side. And I don't know if he's going to make it or not. No, Bradshaw holds on as he's got the inside line, and Stanton still beside him. Those two have been side by side for several corners throughout this Mount Morris track. They're still together. And Bradshaw held Stanton off. Oh, some kind of riding on the part of both of those riders. Bale in the number 3 position had a bird's eye view, and he said, I'd like to be up there tangling with you, but I really don't care to get that close. So they're trying desperately to gain some points on Jean-Michel Bale. Bale put at least 22 points on both of them. And right now, Stanton is just giving, look at that. He outbraked Bradshaw at the bottom of that hill. Bradshaw had to get off the gas. Stanton was able to make the pass, and he's taken over the number 1 position. So it's Stanton out front, Bradshaw running second, and right behind them is Jean-Michel Bale. You could throw a blanket over these 3 riders. Bale so far has not challenged either Bradshaw or Stanton. He appears to be content with that number 3 position, and possibly there's a good reason why. The Supercross series is just about over as Jean-Michel Bale holds a commanding lead in that series. Now, the only way he can lose the championship is if he were to be injured, maybe in one of these outdoor races. And if he did that and Stanton or Bradshaw went on to win the rest of the Supercross events, then he would lose that title. And I think probably he's trying to protect that 250 class. Right behind, though, and not giving up, Damon Bradshaw. Keep your eye on this young man. He'll try the pass when it's least expected. They go into the trees. Bradshaw looked like he had an inside line, and he did. Bradshaw, behind the trees, out of sight of our camera, made the pass on Stanton, and he regains the number 1 position. So now it's Stanton's turn to play catch-up one more time. The early leader was Bradshaw. Stanton made the pass. Now Bradshaw comes back and retakes that number 1 position. So Damon Bradshaw, in the late stages of Moto number 1, has made a move. Jean-Michel Bale is still the unknown factor. He is still parked on the rear wheel now of Jeff Stanton in the number 3 position. The number 5 position, the Anaheim, California Kawasaki rider, did not get a good start. Has had to work very hard to get up as far as he is. Meanwhile, just a few corners to go for this young man out of Charlotte, North Carolina, and he'll win his first moto of the season in this 250cc Outdoor National Championship class. Bradshaw, one of the premier riders on the circuit, is just 18 years old. His best years are still ahead of him, but you'd never know it from watching him ride out here today. Cast a look over his shoulder, is on his way to a Supercross title, and was looking to back that up with a 250cc National Championship. That could hurt his chances. He had a big points lead coming into this one, but unless he really gathers himself together and passes a lot of riders in the next 30 minutes, he's going to have his problems. Meanwhile, Jeff Stanton is way out front, and he's followed by Damon Bradshaw, the rider that won Moto number 1. These 2 riders put on quite a display of riding talent as they passed each other a couple of times in the first Moto, with Bale sitting back and watching. But right now the action all out in front among just 2 riders. Jeff Stanton, who is in the lead, and Damon Bradshaw in the number 2 position. Undoubtedly the stronger. My guess would be that he'll let Stanton run a relaxed pace out front throughout the biggest share of this moto, and then possibly try for a last-ditch effort, a last-ditch pass toward the end of the moto. I don't think, but it looks like I'm wrong. Here he comes, Bradshaw beside Stanton, and Bradshaw is going to make the pass. Can he make it stick? Around the corner, a left-hander, and Bradshaw with an inside line takes over the number 1 spot. I am surprised. I thought Bradshaw would be content to follow, to maybe put the pressure on Stanton, to let him know he was there, to force Stanton into some kind of a very tactical error, maybe even a crash if he pushed him hard enough. But that isn't what happened. Bradshaw has taken over the number 1 spot, and that'll give Stanton now the opportunity to set behind Bradshaw and maybe put the pressure on the Charlotte, North Carolina rider and wear him down. Once again, Stanton is by far the stronger rider of the two. Bradshaw is just 18 years old and overall honors for the day. That's going to be decided between a pair of riders up front, Damon Bradshaw, rider number 11, who is currently the leader, and Jeff Stanton, who has moved now to within a couple of bike lengths of Bradshaw. Now, until this last lap, Bradshaw had things pretty much his own way. Stanton was back 7-8 bike lengths, but now Stanton goes to the inside. Bradshaw looked over at him, and it was almost like Bradshaw was giving him room in there. Bradshaw went wide in that corner. That looked to me like intentionally Bradshaw went way up to the top part of the racetrack. He slowed his pace to allow Jeff Stanton to dive underneath him and take over the number 1 spot. Now, one of 2 things could be happening, one of several things actually, but my guess is that Bradshaw just does not want to lead at this point. He wants to study the lines of Stanton and put on a charge in the latter parts of the... Some prestige involved, and certainly that's what the factory pays bonuses on, the overall wins, and I'm sure Stanton has that in the back of his mind. More important, though, he's fighting for as many points as he can garner to defend his 250 National Championship title. There's Mike LaRocco out of LaPorte, Indiana, aboard the Suzuki. LaRocco currently running in the number 3 position. LaRocco having a good day. He's in line to take 3rd or 4th overall, depending on what Jean-Michel Bayle does the rest of the afternoon. Jeff Ward has not had the kind of day that, well, Jeff Ward is capable of having, and most certainly that he has had here in the past at Mount Morris, but still turning in very respectable rides. Just a few corners left, and Stanton is feeling it now. He's slowed his pace just slightly. Just a second ago, he looked over his shoulder for Damon Bradshaw to see what kind of a lead he has. He knows that he can coast in now. As a matter of fact, he could probably jump off and push the bike to the checkered flag. One more corner, and there it is.